Hi, I'm Erin, and this is Our Wyoming Life.
Pulling weeds is one of those things that every gardener has to do. Now, some gardeners don't mind it, and some hate it. Personally, I hate it, and I always try to avoid it whenever possible. Erin handles the majority of the weeding in the gardens. Today, Erin does the first weeding of the season, in March. This is definitely a first. Usually, the first weeding isn't until June. I guess that means that Erin doesn't mind pulling weeds so much.
Weeds are just a natural part of a garden. If your soil conditions and water conditions are favorable enough to grow a vegetable, you're probably going to grow some weeds too. There's a bunch of different ways out there to weed and lots of tools and gadgets to help you get the job done. I myself am just pretty simple when it comes to weeding. I pull them by hand and I hoe them up. Here in the high tunnel you can see that our crops are growing very nicely. The lettuce is starting to get big. We did have about 15 heads that died. I'm not as sure exactly what happened, but I think that some of them died because I didn't water them enough. The ground isn't perfectly level, and most of our crop loss is on the outside row, and it's a little bit higher than the other two rows. I think that what was happening is that I was getting the dirt wet, but it was also running off into the other rows. I am now working on being more diligent about making sure that the top row gets enough water. We've also had much warmer temps than I expected to have to deal with. This heat may have actually caused some of our loss as well. But I still have plenty of healthy looking lettuce. Radishes are up and they came in very nicely. The leaves are starting to get decent size in some places, so I'm hoping that the radishes underneath the soil are starting to form. Spinach also came up abundantly and has developed its true leaves. Some are even getting close to being harvestable. So all of the crops here in the high tunnel have weeds in them. It's not a lot, but it's time to take care of the weeds before things get out of control. I'm going to start down with the spinach. This is just going to have to be hand weeded. Since I didn't plant it in a row, I can't run a hoe through the bed. I'm just going to start on one end and work my way through. All of the weeds are super little still, so they pull very easily and they don't disturb the spinach roots. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do the radishes. Since the radishes are planted in rows, I can use the hoe in the bed between the rows. But first I will go ahead and hand weed right up next to the plant and in between the radishes. I'm also going to do a little bit of thinning as I go. These are definitely not horribly thick, but there are some in a few spots that would benefit from a light thinning. The radishes need adequate space to grow beneath the soil. If they're too thick, it'll take longer and some of them will not get very large. Now that I've got the weeds out of the rows and the radishes are thinned, I will run the stirrup hoe between the rows. The dirt is actually a little bit wetter than I would prefer for hoeing. I watered yesterday morning. Ideal conditions would probably be sometime tomorrow, but I have other plans and can't carve out any time to weed. If the dirt was soaking wet, I just would have to wait. Work in the soil when it is very wet can actually be damaging to your soil structure. This dirt is just a little bit more damp than ideal, but it'll be okay this time. Lettuce is next. I'm going to run the hoe through the bed. Of course, I'm going to avoid hitting the lettuce, and I will hand weed as necessary. Don't feel bad if you hoe a plant. I can't begin to tell you how many plants I've accidentally killed with a hoe. It's of course not what I want to happen, but death by hoe can occur at the hands of even the most experienced gardener. Luckily, I escaped today without killing any lettuce. Everything is done and weeded. It only took me about 30 minutes. The key with weeding is to do it when the weeds are small and definitely before they go to seed. The weeds are competing for the same key nutrients in the soil as your crops. The more weeds and the bigger the weeds get, the less nutrients and the less water for your crops to be able to absorb. If your weeds get larger than your produce, they will actually shade and stunt your produce even more. So, even if you hate weeding, take the time to do it and stay on top of it. I actually don't mind weeding so much, mostly because no one bothers me when I'm doing it. I don't think they want to help me. And on the bright side, once you're all done, everything looks really beautiful. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. Make sure that you like us on Facebook for exclusive content that you can't find on YouTube. And thanks for joining me in Our Wyoming Life.